Greetings from a place just outside of Johnsonville in Marion County, another special hidden treasure of the history of not only South Carolina, of America. Because I am standing at a special place of where Francis Marion, let me turn this around so you can see it. Francis Marion, here's a 12-foot statue of, at the time he was Colonel Francis Marion, later became a general, where he was sworn in. We're right next to what's called the Lynch's River, I believe is what it is. And this happened right after the fall of Charleston in the American Revolution, which was 1780. And that was probably the biggest blow to the American cause, the fall of Charleston, because not only did Charleston fall, which was in, I think it was May 1780, over 6,000 American troops surrendered as well. Huge blow. And 2 months later, Georgetown fell. And 2 months after that, Camden fell. And if you ever watched the movie The Patriot, there was a big scene where General Gates of the American Continental Army faced William Cornwallis and was defeated. So it did not look good for the American cause. But right here, in this location, where Francis Marion was sworn in to be the general of the South Carolina militia. And what's unique about this, 20 years earlier, Francis Marion learned how to fight in the French and Indian War and how to fight how the Indians did. And his whole purpose was to really not confront the British face to face, but to fight a guerrilla warfare. And when he was sworn in, what's unique about this, and I like the quote from the great Western movie, The Outlaw Josie Wales, after he was commissioned. And the quote is, "Get ready, little lady, hell is coming to breakfast." And it was. His adversary was the British adversary was Tarleton Bannister. And excuse me for saying this, but Tarleton Bannister was a brutal son of a bitch. He was a very mean, brutal British cavalryman that didn't really take prisoners. If anyone would fall into his or surrender to him, he'd put him to death. He killed women. He killed children. And this is the guy, Francis Marion, that went against the British and Bannister Tarleton. And right here is where it all started. And we're going to go to some 3 different counties following the trail or the path of Francis Marion, what he did for the American cause, which was huge because it kept William Cornwallis in the South, which prevented the British Army from joining forces up north where George Washington was. So, and we're going to walk down here just a little bit and see the Lynch's River. And as we'll see, and all through this area called the Midlands of South Carolina, there are swamps everywhere. And this is where the militia hid. As a matter of fact, they just didn't have one base or one camp. They were all over the place. And this is where they would attack, inflict damage on the British, and head back into the swamps here in the Midlands of South Carolina. And again, there's the cities that we're going to go to in the different counties. They've put murals, memorial murals of the significance of Francis Marion, what he did, and winning the war in the American Revolution, because it was ended in the South. As a matter of fact, it ended in Virginia, in Yorktown. So, but you can see, this is where they were, right here. This is the Lynch's River. And of course the water is high, you can see that, but you can see the movement of it. But you see all the cypress trees, and there's tons and thousands of acres of this kind of swampland down here. So in any case, let's just see what else that we could see and what else that we could find following the trail of Francis Marion the swamp fox. Greetings from the town of Turbeville. We're in Florence County, and again, we are following the path of Francis Marion, General Francis Marion and his troops, what they did to keep the British at bay and to attack them and to just inflict damage on them, this whole area of the state. And we're in the Midlands. And a lot of these cities, and not a lot of these cities, but Turbeville, Manning, and Sumter, they're really proud of our heritage here in South Carolina, and also proud of what the swamp fox, Francis Marion, did. And what they did, they painted murals on some of their buildings to preserve this history. And I am right now on the mural of the Battle of Teacoat. What is it? Teacoat Swamp. And I'm going to kind of turn this around so you can see it. And this right here is a placard right next to the mural. It says the Battle of Teacoat during the American Revolution, a few miles south of here. It's very close. General Francis Marion and his militia, they routed the British. General Marion learned of Colonel Tynes, British colonel from Camden, came down from Camden with over 90 troops, was encamped at the edge of Teacoat Swamp. And he moved in at midnight, and he just inflicted substantial damage. I think they took out 47 some odd British, and here's a mural of just what Francis Marion did attacking the British at this camp at Teacoat Swamp. And I think this is so cool that they paid tribute to this and they painted this mural. And like I say, in a couple of these cities here, in this part of the state, they painted these murals by a local artist just to remember the importance of what Francis Marion did and how important it was in the history of South Carolina. So there's another mural here about the burning of a house, and it's called, I think it's Mouzon's mansion. Again, this goes back to what I mentioned earlier with Tarleton, or Bannister Tarleton, what he did. If he had any inclination or any knowledge that somebody was siding with the rebels, he inflicted substantial damage. So let's just go see what we can find another mural and see what this Bannister Tarleton did. We have found another mural here in the town of Turbeville, and this is the mural of the house of a surveyor, Mouzon Mansion. And let me kind of, again, turn this around. You can see the mural of Bannister Tarleton. And here's a little plaque that kind of gives a history of what happened. It says Captain Henry Mouzon II had a friendship with Bannister Tarleton. If you can imagine that, from their boyhood school when they lived in France. And Mr. Mouzon later became a surveyor here in this part of the state of South Carolina. It said, yet the British Tarleton burned the Mouzon plantation house on August 7th, 1780. Anne Mouzon, at age 11, his daughter, she was the first one, I think she was in the second story window, looked out, and she saw Tarleton and his troops coming, and she alerted the rest of the family. They barely escaped into a place called Puddin Swamp, right next to the Black River, which is beside their home. And soon after, another British major by the name of James Wemyss burned out patriots and loyalists, what they were called, alike in the swath of 15 miles wide, 70 miles from the Santee River to Georgetown. So, and again, let me step back a little bit so you can see, here's the house. And the thing also about this, and here's old Tarleton destroying a house, this is everything that they had, these people. And this is how brutal the British were in the South, trying to turn the American rebels, or the Americans that wanted independence. And it was just a very brutal and, hard to imagine living back then and how tough. And when these things happen, let me kind of turn around so you can see it behind me. When they did happen, that just only stiffened the resolve of the American colonists here that wanted independence from England. So anyway, I think, again, this is so cool and unique that the townspeople, historians here that wanted to preserve the history of the American Revolution here in the south of the state of South Carolina. And we're going to go to another town called Manning and see what we can find there. So come with me, and I'll see you shortly. Greetings from Manning, South Carolina, here in Tarleton County. I am standing right next to a mural. It's over 100 feet long, about a battle that was called Waibu Battle Swamp, or Waibu Swamp. And just to give you, I'm going to flip this around. I'm looking right at the sun, so this is going to be tough. But I'm going to walk down this mural. This is an actual battle that the British forces left Fort Watson to go get, capture, kill, whatever they needed to do, Francis Marion. Well, guess what? Lo and behold, like I mentioned earlier, get ready, little lady, hell is coming to breakfast. Francis Marion and his troops waited in ambush to get these guys, and they inflicted substantial damage on these British troops. And as you can see by this mural, they tried to really depict what it was like in this part of the state. And there are swamps and bogs everywhere. And you can see here the guys, here's Francis Marion troops here, waiting for the British. And of course they ambushed them and kicked the heck out of them. Look how long this thing is. Isn't this cool? And this is on the side of a grocery store, an IGA grocery store in the town of Manning. And there's something else here. I want to show you this. Every one of these murals, I don't know if you can see this, you see that little fox? Everyone has a fox, which is kind of a little symbolic photograph or symbolic painting of Francis Marion, the swamp fox. And there he is now telling his militia boys, here come the redcoats, let's put it to them. But again, this thing is over 100 feet long. What a cool mural here. And like I said, there's just so many neat little hidden treasures all over South Carolina to depict neat things about the state, and of course here the Revolutionary War. So really cool stuff. So let me get back in the sun here. Let me go see, I think if I can find, there's another skirmish or battle. I think it's Ox Swamp or something like that. So let me go see if I can find that. So I'll check you out in a minute. Greetings again from still Manning, South Carolina. I found another unique mural of Francis Marion, the swamp fox, here on the side of another building. It's the Battle of Ox Swamp. Let me turn this around. This is a mural. I'm going to kind of walk down this mural. My goodness, it must be 50 feet long. But in any case, there's a painting there of Bannister Tarleton and his Green Dragoons is what they were. And this battle, what really wasn't a skirmish, because Bannister Tarleton had chased Francis Marion for over 6 hours, trying to follow his trail into the swamps. And I think that must be Francis Marion right there. And after this hunt here at Ox Swamp is where really the name Swamp Fox was created by Bannister Tarleton, right here. And the reason it was, he could not catch this guy. He just couldn't get him at all. And this is where Bannister Tarleton made the comment, the quote that's in history, speaking of the two guerrilla fighters that he tried to capture. One was Thomas Sumter, known as the Gamecock, Fighting Gamecock, and then Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox. But Bannister Tarleton said, today we're going to bag the Gamecock. But as far as the Swamp Fox, Francis Marion, the devil himself could not catch this guy. So just remarkable history. So we're going to keep going. We're going to travel and see if we can find another town, maybe in another county, and the town of Somerton. So check it out, and I will see you then. Greetings from Somerton, South Carolina. I am downtown Somerton, and I'm in the corner of, I guess, Somerton and Somerton. I'm at the corner of the big water tower here in Somerton. I am here, and we're not far from Lake Marion, imagine that, Lake Marion, of the mural of what happened, the Battle of Fort Watson. And again, I'm going to turn this, flip this around, see if we can see it. And this is the Battle of Fort Watson. Fort Watson was held by the British. And what Francis Marion did with his men, along with Thomas Sumter, they laid siege to this fort. It was in April 16th, 1781, and they laid siege for 7 days. And what they did, they have a mural here, is they cut saplings down, built a tower, which is right here, right up there, and the sharpshooters in Francis Marion's unit were picking off the British troops in Fort Watson, and in 7 days the British surrendered that fort. And again, what's really cool about this, and this is a different county than the other two places that we were in, and just all over the Midlands of South Carolina, is the history and the importance of what Francis Marion was in the American Revolution. And again, like I mentioned earlier, just there are so many hidden gems, neat places in the state of South Carolina that gives a history of South Carolina. So, in any case, I enjoyed you riding with me, following the tracks of Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox. So, again, thank you for traveling with the silver-haired traveler, and I want you to, as always, be safe, be smart, and God bless.